Okay, so we're so excited to have you here with our masterclass. This has been a long awaited call where a lot of people have been asking me to host something like this. And so here we are. I'm finally sharing what we have and bringing a lot of things from our paid program and actually just sharing them with you for free because I know that they'll provide a lot of value to those of you who are service providers and wanting to up-level your game a little bit with what you do. But before we dive in, I wanted to kind of introduce ourselves so that you can get to know who is this person. Many of you have actually worked with before, and then others are brand new faces. So while I'm talking, I'd love if you can type in the chat where you're from and maybe what you do. If you are a virtual assistant or you are a web designer, what is it that you do? And tell me where you're from. And I would love to kind of get to know our audience just a little bit better. But Jennifer and I are so excited. So I have actually I'm not a virtual assistant anymore. Years ago, I actually stepped into the coaching space and left being a virtual assistant. And now I do a lot of training and coaching and business strategy and development. But before that, I was a virtual assistant for about 9 years. And so this is a space that's near and dear to my heart. And I'm really excited to share some things that I've learned over time. I also am a recruiter. And so I actually pair business owners with service providers. And so that when they're hiring, I can help them find the right people. And what I've seen in this process is after working with enough service providers and enough clients, I know what the clients are asking for and looking for when they look at resumes or portfolios or when they're kind of trying to decide who to hire. And then I've also worked with hundreds and hundreds of service providers, mostly virtual assistants, but also social media managers, OBMs, project managers, web designers, coaches. And I've seen that even the most experienced are missing some things as they communicate and start working with their new clients and even finding clients. So I wanted to share some of these tools and resources with you that will maybe help you to, one, find clients and keep them, and then also to support them in a bigger way that you may not have thought of before. And I love seeing where everybody's from. I just wanted to shout these out for those that will be watching the recording. We have Grand Junction, Colorado, virtual assistant, another Grand Junction, VA, Washington State Military, VA in Pleasant Grove. Welcome, welcome. I'm in Utah as well. Philippines, creative virtual assistant, Kansas, SMVA, Ogden, awesome. So it looks like most of the people here are virtual assistants, which is great. So you're all my people. I love virtual assistants. And so let me share some, let's get us started. I'm going to share my screen with you, but because this is a live interactive call, you all can actually send us questions in the chat and we'll answer them as we go. So don't hold back. If we share something and something doesn't make sense, it's likely that other people are feeling the same. And then I also wanted to introduce Jennifer. She's going to be sharing with us in just a little bit after we get through the first part of our presentation. Jennifer is near and dear to my heart as well, and I'm really excited for you to get to know her. She is a creative virtual assistant and has been for the last 2.5 years. She's also a certified Dipsado strategist. She's an Etsy shop owner and a graphic designer. And P.S. if you've seen the stuff that she's created, they're beautiful. And she is also a jewelry business owner where she creates her own jewelry and sells them as well. A lot with like essential oil diffuser jewelry and things like that. So I'm really excited for you to get to know Jennifer here in just a little bit as well. But let's start diving in with the 7 things that I promised that we'd be talking about. Okay, can y'all see my screen over here? I just said y'all because I'm in I'm in Utah. Okay, so here are the 7 things that we're going to discuss. And I speak really rapidly and really quickly, but I'll keep my eyes on the chat so that we can, I'm very action oriented. I love to just like get through stuff and make a big impact. And so I'm not really a big fluff person. So we're just going to dive in and give you some really great tools and resources if that sounds all right. I would love to also hear in the chat, those of you, most of you said you're virtual assistants. How long have you been a virtual assistant, or are you wanting to enter the space for the first time? I'm curious how many are currently or just thinking about becoming one. Okay, so the things we're going to be talking about are portfolios that convert, finding clients and standing out, the secret to discovery calls, scaling with a full load. Maybe you already have a lot of clients, but you're like, wow, I know that I can earn more, but my time is actually just limited and I can't take on anymore because I'm already working full time. How do I scale? Collecting testimonials organically and kind of making that a recurring part of your process and how to do that. Getting clients to actually market for you. And I'll share how I have my clients do all my marketing for me in a really elegant, easy way. So anyway, I'll share some details on that in a minute, but it's really exciting. And one of my favorite must-have tools. So first of all, I know that we promised we'd send you all some freebies for registering. So these are the two things that we're going to be giving you. And I'll let Jennifer in a little bit show you the client welcome guide template that she has, but it's something you can give to your clients when they first start working with you to welcome them into your space and what it will be like to start working with you. And then I'll actually show you the portfolio template that I'll be sharing with you as well that you can customize and make your own. Okay, so let's first dive into portfolios that convert. I know that this probably goes without saying. Many of you probably know at least this part, but I want to make sure that if there are some newbies here that haven't heard this before, that I work with a lot of, again, virtual assistants that apply to my program and want to like be hired by some of my clients. And resumes are great, don't get me wrong, but especially in this space where you're presenting yourself as an expert and a business owner, because I talk about virtual assistants as business owners providing a service to another business owner and not an employee. And so that's why I want to remove the idea of just resumes and introduce the better way of portfolios. So the main differences, as you probably already know, is that resumes, they show prior work history, but with portfolios, no work history is needed. So even if you are brand new to this space, you can actually create a stellar portfolio, and it doesn't matter how many clients you've had in the past. So you can still present what you're capable of and land clients regardless of whether or not you even have had clients in the past. Resumes, as you know, are a lot of text. It's word heavy, and most employers just skim them. I'll tell you, they don't read everything that's on there. And so it's a little bit harder to get to know you. Whereas portfolios are less text, more dynamic. Resumes are focused on what you have done, where portfolios are focused on what you can do. They're static or harder to get to know you, and generally just a PDF. But portfolios, this is where we get to see some really beautiful things. So I want to show you the example that I created, so I can show you step by step what makes a really great portfolio and how to fill it in, even if you don't have work history. So this is, actually, I'll just click here and I'll show you. So this is the template that I've created that I'll share with all of you. And you can drop your picture and your name right here, but this is actually a Canva website. And it's really nice. And so all you have to do is just share the link and fill it in and edit it, and then share the link with your potential clients, or put it on your social media or wherever you want to share it. So at first, create a little bit about you, a bio that kind of highlights some key points about your offers or about you and your experience, or whatever it is that you want to include here. And then we have a space for my services. So I've duplicated these sections, and maybe they're different for you. Maybe you don't provide graphics, but you do provide some of these other things. So add it and edit it and fill in the details for what it is that you do. So if you do social media, for example, what do you do in social media? I know some people that won't write captions. That should be included here. That you'll schedule the posts, you will edit videos or edit reels if they record the videos, add all of those different details here. You'll do hashtag strategy, or maybe you don't do hashtag strategy. Just include everything you can about the services that you provide and offer here. And everything is editable, by the way. And then you'll include some writing samples. So the idea that I had here is that you would write the title here and then include just a brief description about what it is. So maybe it's a blog post, and you include the title, like 10 steps to achieve blank. And then you include what it's all about, and then include a link where they can actually click on it and go read said blog post. So anything that you have that's out of this portfolio that you want them to go view, you can add links to it as well. Testimonials, and let's say that, again, you're new to the space, you don't have testimonials. Either A, you can go to previous employers for other jobs and say, hey, I'm specifically trying to get into this space. Can you write me a testimonial about my integrity or my work ethic, or even if it's totally different than the space you're entering into, just so that there's social proof that you have good work ethic, right? And then once you actually start landing clients, you can fill this in with some specific client testimonials. And so this can be previous professors, teachers, employers. It can be family members, that can speak to your experience and the quality of the things that you can provide. And then again, fill it in later once you finally get some landing clients. One of the things that stands out for me when I'm looking at portfolios is what are they doing for continuing education. And so I've included some examples here. Some of these are even free things that you can go through, like the TikTok Academy by Rachel Peterson. But if you do anything in social media as an offer that you provide, then I highly recommend that you actually include those. Like, I've gone through this course, or I've taken this certification on Skillshare, or whatever it is, so that they can see what you're doing to bring in the skill set that will support them. So these are just some ideas. And graphic samples. So if you actually do any graphics in Canva, it's really good if you can provide some here. Maybe you have some Pinterest pins or some blog banners or social media posts or some flyers. You can add all of those here. And website samples. And again, if you don't do website design, then delete this page. But this is where you can add in like a screenshot of some of the websites that you've actually built and created. One of the things that I always, when I'm helping pair an assistant with a client, is the client often will say, I really need someone who knows how to use X program. Like maybe it's Kajabi, or maybe it's Flowdesk. And so if you actually have a spot in your portfolio that says, these are the tools I'm familiar with, then I can be like, oh, they know exactly the thing that my client needs them to know. This could potentially be a really good match. So I'm giving you some insight into what it looks like to quickly look at a portfolio and see if you're a good fit for somebody. So include all of those here. And this is not a full list. This is just some basic ideas. And then you want to include some packages and pricing. So if you do have packages, then here's a layout for that. You can also include your hourly rate down here. And then I also like to include that custom packages are available, so that maybe somebody only needs 1 hour, like they just need like a Flowdesk setup or something, then you can say custom packages are available if that's something that you provide. And then some things about working together. This bottom slide are just some additional thoughts of added things that you can add into your portfolio. Like maybe you do a lot with newsletters, or maybe you do want to include some screenshots of some workflows you've created in Flowdesk, or some social media captions, because when people are hiring a social media manager, they're looking at two things. They want, well, three things really. They want to know your graphic style. They want to know if you do captions, what your writing style is like. And then they also want to know how well you know that platform. So like if you're doing Instagram, then that would be like hashtags and reels and stories and posts and carousels. It's like all the different things that you know how to do. And so kind of filling in your portfolio with those skill sets. If you don't do social media, by the way, don't include it, just get rid of it. I always, when I'm working with my clients, I try to help them see that your VA, although they wear many hats, should not be a one-stop shop. That if you as a VA really hate social media and you don't want to provide that as a service, then don't. I think that's totally fine. And then you can just let them know, like, I don't provide that service, and because I love to focus here instead. That's lovely. If you do anything with branding kits, like helping clients do that, then you can do that as well. Anyway, I'll be sharing all of this with you, but hopefully that gives you some ideas on what makes a really stellar portfolio. And you can see how you can fill it in with things that, even if you don't yet have graphic examples, you can go and create some graphics. So if you're like, I don't have any clients, I don't have any examples of things I've created, go create some in Canva as examples of what you could create for a client, so they can get a sense for your style. And same with newsletters, or if you do want to create websites, go create a template website and have that in your portfolio. Say, here's an example of what I can create for you. Again, it doesn't have to be all about what you've done. It's all about what you can do. So hopefully that helps. Okay. Helpful. Okay. Step 2, finding clients and standing out. These are some freebies that I give out to like bring in potential leads to my business. And it helps me to do several things. So when I'm talking about finding people, you need to solve problems for them and provide solutions. So what are the problems that your clients or potential clients are experiencing, and what is a free offering that you can provide that will help them to start solving that problem and collect their information so you can continue to nurture them through emails or whatever. So for me, I have a lot of clients who are trying to write content, and I realize that they don't have any idea on how to write some captivating headlines that actually bring in, that make people want to click on their emails. So I actually just created a really quick PDF. I'm saying, like, I actually have my virtual assistant also help me with this, but create like a little ebook where we dropped in some of these headlines that I always recommend people use so they could use them. But what it does is it gives me their email address. So continue to create free content so that when you do find somebody and maybe they aren't quite ready to hire, but you can let them know that you're an expert in this space or that you provide solutions to their problems. So figure out what those problems are and then start coming up with a brainstorm of little free offerings that you can give that solve those problems, or at least start to. And then you need to figure out where your clients hang out. I get this question a lot, and they say, where do I actually find clients? I want to be a virtual assistant, but I'm on my Instagram, it's just other virtual assistants following me. So how do I find people that actually want to hire me for my services? So here's a couple of tips. Let's say that you offer Flowdesk design or Kajabi design or project broadcast or whatever it is, go to Facebook and type in project broadcast or Flowdesk into Facebook and see if there's a Facebook group where those people hang out, because those are users of that platform that would want to that often will be like, hey, I'm using project broadcast and I'm really struggling trying to find out how to you set up this one thing. Is there anybody who can help me really quick? Then you can come in and save the day and say, hey, I would be happy to get on a really quick 10-minute call and help you do this thing. And then maybe by doing so, then you can be like, and by the way, I also do X, Y, and Z. I'm happy to help you with that too, or whatever. You know what I mean? Like, it helps you to get in front of the right people. So here are some examples. Like, if you want to be a podcast VA, get into some podcast Facebook groups where people are talking about that. And that's where the clients live. That's where they're often asking, like, hey, are there any, I'm doing podcasting, but are there any people out there that can help me set up my page on my website or can help me write my show notes? This is where you go find them. And you'll have to make sure you follow the group rules, because some say don't share external links or don't pitch your services. But if you're solving a problem that they've specifically asked for, now the door is wide open because they're asking for it. So you're not making a post that says, hey, I'd like to introduce myself. I'm a VA and I can do X and Y and Z for you. That's icky. Instead, find posts, scroll through the feed and see what problems they're asking and solve those problems. And these are some really great groups to start doing that. And there's a ton of different ones. And now here are some specific tips. So when people start posting in groups and say, so here's actually one that I'm in, and somebody posted this job op and they were hoping to get some people interested in this position. I'm going to show you what people did good and not so good. And I blocked out their names to give you specific tips that when people are actually asking in Facebook groups for potential hires, how to make you stand out amongst the rest. Because she had 21 comments. How are you going to stand out among those 21 people? So I highlighted some specific things that in this particular post she was looking for. This person is looking for a social media manager that can drive engagement, gain a larger following, must be US based, or potentially be able to work Pacific time, familiar with the e-commerce and retail space, and familiar with TikTok and IG. So she gave some very specific things that she's looking for. And if you don't speak to those things, you're going to get passed over. So let me show you what that looks like. Here are some of the responses. So again, all of these are like, I hope you'll check your DMs. Oh, hi there, I can help. That's terrible. That does not make you stand out at all. So I actually starred some of them that I give maybe an A-, that are good, but could be better. A lot of these I give an F. I'm not going to DM anybody that says, oh, hey, I saw that you can help with this thing and so did 10 other people. No, show them why you stand out. And again, speak to these things. These are the things you need to speak to. So this person did a fairly good job. She said, and that sounds like a great fit for me. And I have experience with gourmet kitchen store. A, that's great. Here's my website. Feel free to check it out. So she provided a link to her portfolio, which is her website, and spoke to one of the things that the person asked about, that she's familiar, she has a gourmet kitchen store. So that was good, but she didn't speak to Instagram or TikTok. She didn't speak to her being US based. She didn't speak to some of these other things. So make sure that you do that. And down here is a little bit better, where she says, I help business owners and coaches with their brand awareness and promotions on Facebook and strategy. Here's a link to my portfolio. That was a little bit better. Pretty good, right? So here's what I would have done. Here's an example. And a great response to some Facebook comments includes these 4 things. Enthusiasm, you address the specific needs they've said. You include a portfolio or a website, and you ask a question to encourage them to engage with you. So here's what I would say. And again, these are I just made these up. This is not actually true or anything, but the enthusiasm, what a great opportunity. Everything you're looking for is what I do. Here's a little bit about me. And then this whole section is addressing those 4 things that they mentioned. The e-commerce retail space is one of my favorites. Here's how I would start working with you. I'm very familiar with Instagram and TikTok. They're my jam. Include a little bit of personality in there, so it's not just like very rote and feels like they want to work with somebody that they can resonate with, right? And then talk about some of the things where she said specifically, I want to increase engagement and grow a following. So talk about maybe something you've done to achieve that thing or help clients with that thing. I am US based. And now include a link to your portfolio. And now that you're going to get a template after this, you actually will have a portfolio that you can go add there. And then the question in the end would be anything that you might encourage them to engage with you. Like, how many followers does your client currently have? Is she comfortable recording videos? And that way you start a dialogue back and forth with the person. So you build that relationship. Now you have a winning comment on someone's post looking for the very thing you provide, and you will stand out way more. And I do this all the time where I am actually making the post, looking for people that might solve the problem that my client is looking for. And I never reach out to the ones that look like this, that are like, hey there, I can help. Let me know when we can start. That does not tell me anything about you. I have no idea how you're going to solve my client's problems. Can you actually do the things that I've asked for? That doesn't help me. So, but this, I would reach out to them all day long, like, girl, we need to talk like today. This is how you stand out. Helpful? Okay. Let's talk about discovery calls for a second. I know some people that don't want to do discovery calls because they feel like they're giving away free information or free advice, or it takes up too much of their time. That's fine if that's something you don't want to get into, but I will say that discovery calls have changed my business. So I have been offering 30-minute free discovery calls. I'm now going to be reducing it down to 15 because I've been able to make them really effective, and I can cut it down to 15 without having a problem. But the reason I do discovery calls, and a free one, is one, I want to get to know this person and see if I'm actually even a good fit for them. Because there are some people, when I can't tell you how many people I've actually met with that I said, you know what, I don't actually think we're a good fit. The thing that you're looking for is not really my skill set, or not really a space I want to get into, or I don't feel like we resonate. So before they decide to even, start paying me, I want to make sure that we're actually, we resonate. Second, this helps them get to know me because they're just feeling me out. They might be feeling a few people out too. So and some people that don't do discovery calls where they're only paid coaching calls, then they're like, well, because I'm not even sure who I want to work with yet. I'm just going to do a few free calls just to see who I resonate best with. So when I get on a discovery call, I am solving as many problems as I can in that 15 to 30 minutes so that they develop a relationship with me, so they can know, like, and trust me. And now usually after that discovery call, they realize, like, oh my goodness, this person gets me. They know what my problems are. I feel taken care of. I want to book with them. So it increases my retention rate because I'm meeting with them for a free call. And a lot of people get hung up on what to do during these calls. They think, what's the script for a great discovery call? There is no script. The main thing is, it's not about you. Too many people try to come like, should I prepare a presentation? What should I do to come ready for this call? You forget all of that. It's not about you. You need to get them talking about themselves as much as possible. So the more you can ask them questions about their business. And so if you're a virtual assistant and somebody is thinking of hiring you, but they're also meeting with a few other people, I would be asking a lot of questions like, tell me more about your business. I would love to know, like, where you are in your business right now. What are your greatest challenges or your goals? And why are you thinking of hiring right now? What makes you nervous about hiring? Like, get them to be really vulnerable with you and just dive in and ask questions. And through those conversations, you're going to start hearing all the things that they need help with. I'm like, well, my greatest challenge right now is I really want to set up my my email campaigns, but the tool I'm using is really, it's hard for me. Like, oh, well, what tool are you using? Oh, I happen to be familiar with that tool. Let's talk about it. So you start developing this rapport with them. Don't come into it with interview style mentality. An interview style is where you come and they show up and they say, okay, I'm great to have you here. Let's ask a few questions. And you're going to just respond and answer their questions. No, turn the tables and you ask them a bunch of questions, because then they will suddenly feel like, wow, this person gets me and I feel taken care of. And show enthusiasm. Again, don't be super stale on the call. Show personality. I am super weird and quirky on my calls, you guys. I'm so weird because I feel like they get to know me more and they see like what I'm actually like. I'm a normal human being, and I don't come with my suit jacket on or anything. Like I'm wearing leggings today, yoga leggings, and you know what I mean. Like that's me, and I want them to know who I am. I did put earrings on just for this call, but I'm going to take them off. And so anyway, so this is what my discovery calls look like. I don't ask all of these questions. There's only one consistent question that I usually ask. First, I usually say, it's so great to meet you. I'm so excited that you connected with me today. I would love to hear a little bit more about your business. Tell me more about you. And then once they do that, they just open up and they might go off for 10 minutes all about them. And then you're taking notes along the way, show that you're engaged. Like, oh, okay, these are the things that they've said that I'm going to pull out that again are their greatest needs. The same thing that we did on that job post are the same things you're going to do in this discovery call, where you're going to siphon out all of the concerns or challenges that they have. And then you're eventually going to address those concerns. You're going to say, okay, it looks like A, B, and C are your greatest concerns. A, B, and C happen to be exactly what I do. I'm so excited about this. It looks like we're a great fit. Let me tell you how I've done this before, or why I feel like I'm a great fit for this. And then you can start talking about it. But again, I don't ask all of these questions. The only one is that I always ask is, tell me about your business and what prompted this call. And then I'll usually kind of ask some more clarifying questions. Okay, tell me about what your greatest challenges are with X. What are your biggest priorities right now? What are your greatest goals? Where do you want to see your business? Tell me about the specific tasks you need help with. Have you ever worked with someone like me before? Did it go well, or why not? And this is really telling, because if they say, actually, I have worked with a virtual assistant before, it didn't go well, like, why not? And then now you can start addressing those things. It will also tell you if this is a good client or not, because if they say, well, they were never available when I wanted them to be, like, oh, well, tell me more about that. They were never available. How did you communicate with them? When did you need them to be available? And then if you start to realize like, oh, well, they were very last minute with all their tasks and they were very kind of took advantage of the VA, that's a red flag. Like, maybe we aren't going to be a good fit either, because you don't set boundaries on your virtual assistant's time. I'm not sure if we are a good fit. So it also helps you to get some clarifying questions. And by the way, you can take screenshots of any of this, and I'll also send the PowerPoint after as well. Okay, so scaling when your client load is full. If you have a lot of clients and you're wondering like, how in the world can I want to earn more. I see all these virtual assistants making 6-7 figures, but how in the world do they do that when I can only take on 40 hours a week of clients and be sustainable? So here's some tips for you. First, I want you to consider what can you do to take your skill set and turn it into an offer that will serve more people at once, like at one at a time. And this will kind of like shift your thinking just a little bit. And maybe you're already familiar with some of these things, maybe they're new, but you have one client and it takes 10 hours a week to work with that client. So now what do you do to actually take that same skill set and the offering and do it to more people at once without having to bring on a lot of clients? I'll show you some tips. Okay, so here are a couple of ideas. So I have an 8-week program where I work with some of my clients, and they hire me for 8 weeks, and it's very one-on-one intensive. I'm on a call with them once every week, but we're actually now phasing that program into some VIP days where I'm actually taking that same concept, because now I have all the templates, I have all these things ready that some people may not need to have like this one-on-one 8 calls with me. So instead, I'm going to invite invite many people on a group call with me, and I'm going to walk them through how to use everything I've created, and do some one-on-one like Voxer support still to support them. But I'm going to have them all on a group call where I can help them either set up their flow desk or set up their website or set up their project broadcast or whatever it is that you do. You can do this in mass. Just come up with a process that you can offer a VIP day. So you're working with a lot of people at once and you're kind of holding their hand, but without having the same commitment of taking on a new recurring client. Some other ways to monetize your skill set are there specific things that you teach or that you do a lot? Maybe you do a lot with a lot of your clients ask about social media, like how do I set up my social media, or how do I get started with Reels? Turn that into a course that you can now monetize and sell and say, hey, I actually have a course that answers that question. It's, X amount of dollars. If it's just a little mini course, maybe it's $27. If it's a more robust in-depth course, maybe it's $300 or $1,000. And more people are now purchasing your knowledge because you've organized it into a way that many people can access it rather than them having to hire you just as a VA to get that knowledge. So my 8-week program is like an implementation and coaching program. And so maybe you do something similar where, they hire you for extra for the implementation, but they hire you for coaching. I don't know, there's lots of different options, right? Depending on what you offer and your skill sets are. I will say that niching down is really, and I feel like I always hate using this word because it's so overused, but the idea of getting very specific with who you serve and how will really, really support you in the long run. So what I mean by that is, do you love to work with e-commerce people? Do you love to work with coaches? Do you love to work in the natural health space? Who are the people that you love to work with the most? And then start again developing free offers and paid offers that support these people. So for me, a lot of my clients are in the essential oil world. So I'm constantly brainstorming. I have a whole list of like things I want to create for my people when they tell me that they have a problem, and I'm creating all these free offers for them. And because I'm solving specific problems to their niche, they think, oh my goodness, this is the person to go to for these kinds of things. So get very, very specific with who you, and maybe you work with multiple people. Maybe you love to be a VA for everybody, but now start to get very specific on specific industries. Like, okay, for real estate people, here are the problems that they have. I'm going to start developing some free and paid offers specifically for these people. And now move over to coaches and do the same thing, if that makes sense. And now hiring. I know that you yourself are like, well, I'm trying to get hired. I'm not ready to hire. When do we do this? When you are ready, this will actually expand your business. I actually hired Jennifer actually a couple of years ago, when I was first starting my business, pretty early on, probably within the first 6 months. And because I did so, I was able to actually bring in more clients and open up my support and what I could do for people. And so that might be something that you consider as well, is that even if, maybe you increase your price just a little bit to pay for a VA to support you. And it doesn't have to be that you're hiring them full time or for 30 hours a week. It can just be for a couple hours a week, friends. Like, you don't have to do a lot, and pass off the things that you feel like are like, oh, this is draining me. But if I can just focus here, I feel like I can breathe and survive a little bit more. And that's fine. That would be amazing for your business. And then you can finally expand and bring more people in the door. So for reference, I think I have about 150 clients in the last 2 years, just for my assistant program, where I actually put them through this program to help them find a virtual assistant. But the only way that I could do that, to bring on a client a week was to bring on support to help me support these people. Okay, so hopefully that kind of gives some ideas on how you can scale. Okay, number 5, collecting testimonials organically. And we'll talk a little bit more about this when we get with Jennifer as well. But first, I just want to give some general tips. Just ask. In all these virtual assistant groups I'm in, they always say, how do you all get testimonials from people, even if they're current active clients? You just wait till they're not working with you anymore. How do you get them? And you just ask. You just have to ask. So this is verbatim, the script that I use, and you can screenshot it. And I just have it part of my process that after I've been working with them for a couple of months, that this email goes out And I don't even know it goes out anymore, but until I get a response back and like, oh, I'm so glad that you asked for this because I've been thinking about it anyway. So I'd be happy to fill out a testimonial for you. But because I have it as an automated email that goes out through my system, it just goes out. And then I start getting, they just come in because it's a part of my process. Because sometimes you forget to ask, and you don't have to wait till you're done working with them to ask for this. And it's awesome. Okay. Now, how do you get them to do the marketing for you? My business is 99% referrals. I don't know how many of you are aware of this, but my social media got hacked into a month ago. My Instagram and my Facebook, I lost everything. I've never been able to get it back. The one thing I was able to keep was my Facebook page, but I lost my personal page and I lost my Instagram. And it was kind of a nightmare, but my business dollar didn't change. In fact, I was bringing in more clients because my people aren't just on social media, because I'm referral based. That's how I bring in my clients. And so here's how you can do that. It's very, very simple. But just to give you a background, marketing experts usually recommend that small businesses, you are a small business, by the way. I think some VAs still are this employee mentality, but you are a small business. But they recommend that you spend 7 to 8% of your earnings on marketing. So assuming that you make $1,000, that's $70 or $80. So somehow bake in that to your pricing. That's just going to be part of your pricing when you work with people. And so here's how I do it. I give $25 to $50 for every paid referral, or a little bit more depending on like the price of my program. And I just let them know up front. So when in all of my messaging and everything to them, I just say, hey, do you know anybody else that could use these services? Because I actually give you $25 to $50 for every paid referral, not just a referral, but I always include that like they have to pay to, like, it has to be a client that actually pays me, and then I will give you a referral fee. And so I've had some clients that they just have a side business of referring people to me because they've realized that like it's a good source of residual income, because they're getting this added income from me. And so it's awesome because I've actually been able to scale to 6 figures serving 150 plus clients in this way, because they all come to me from referrals. The occasional person will find me on and say, I found you on Google or found you on Facebook. And I'm like, whoa, that was interesting. How did that happen? But generally, they are always referrals. Sophia asked, do you only offer this to your clients? I offer it to everyone. So if you like, even you, like you could get $25 to $50. So if you have a client or know somebody that is looking to hire an assistant or looking for a business coach, or I have a lot of different programs that I can tell you all about some other time. Then you can absolutely be one of my referrals. And we're setting up the whole system right now so that we can kind of update how we're doing it currently. But yeah, then I do this for everybody. And so some people are afraid to do this because they think like, oh, that's $25 or $50 that I could have kept for me. No, don't think of it like that. This is free marketing. Your clients are your best advertisers, because what are they going to say? They're going to say, oh my gosh, you need a virtual assistant. I work with the best one, or I just worked with the best one. You have to work with her. I'll give you her information. And then if they also know that you give payouts, they're going to sort of be on the lookout to be like in like Facebook groups when people are like, hey, I need a virtual assistant, where normally they may not respond. They might actually say like, hey, I know someone really great. You should reach out to her. Let me know if you want her contact information. And then you can let the assistant know like, hey, I just sent somebody your way. And then they can kind of keep track of those things. So I really recommend that you do this. It's changed my business. Okay. So now that we've kind of gotten into that, before we dive into like one of my favorite must-have tools, any questions on what we talked about? Has all of this been helpful? Tell me in the chat if you've had any aha moments or found some really great ideas or resources to support you and your clients. Any changes that you're going to start making to how you do your business? Okay, awesome. So helpful. It's so funny that everybody's still named Jamie Lehman.
Which Jamie?
Yeah. Awesome. It says so helpful. Yes, you're the best. Good stuff. Okay, awesome. So I want to turn the time over to Jennifer. Actually, Jennifer, do you want me to stop sharing so you can share your screen, or do you just want me to keep going through my slides?
Yeah, I mean, if you want to do the slides, you can go ahead and do that. But I wanted to start with the welcome guide that they're going to get,
okay,
just
awesome.
so they can see that.
Okay, and tell me where that is. Do you want to just pull it up? Because I'm actually not even sure where the welcome guide is.
I have it already on, so if you want to stop sharing, I can do that. But my name is Jennifer, and I am actually in Paonia, Colorado, a tiny, tiny town. So all the people in Grand Junction, hello. But yeah, so I wanted to show you the welcome guide because with clients, we want to kind of impress them. We want to give them that VIP experience. So what Megan was touching on earlier is all the kind of things that she was doing with her form, but mine is, like after you get the client, you want to kind of set the tone for how the experience is going to go. And so let me share with you, it's going to be a Canva form, so you can edit it, add your branding, all that kind of stuff.
And you're all going to get a copy of this.
Mm-hmm. So let's go right here. So this is what it looks like. And it's just a welcome guide, super cute. Put the client's name in there, make it seem personal to them. And this is going to be a picture of you and kind of like about the project. And you're going to talk about some pain points and how you want to transform, the experience and transform their business by working with you. So that's going to be really great. And then this section is kind of like just to give the client their expectations of what's going to be happening next, what they can look forward to, things to be prepared for. Let's see. And then this is like the project timeline of this is what we're going to work on this week. And then this is what we're going to work on the next week.
And can I actually make a note on that really quick, Jennifer? A lot of VAs that I work with, they sort of are at the mercy of the client sometime, where they show up to that first call and they're like, so what do you want me to do? I want you to reshift your thinking just a little bit. And I want you to come prepared with things that you are again going to ask them and come help develop an outline of what it will be like to work with you. Like, okay, so I remember when our first call, you said the A, B, and C were kind of your biggest stressors. So this week, let's tackle this number one stressor. And I want you to tell me everything about it and how you see me fitting in and helping you. And then week two, I want to talk about this thing. And then that way you're kind of holding their hand of like, oh my gosh, this person is like breathing life into my business and they totally have me taken care of, rather than just sort of showing up on the call and be like, so what do you want me to do this week? Like, I'm prepared as a business owner and change that mentality completely.
Yeah. And then this area is kind of cool because this is like helpful resources that you guys might be working on together. So like say you're going to be talking via Slack, or you're going to be you're going to be using ClickUp together, or, just kind of like helpful tools and resources that they are going to be using during the project with you. And so you can add the links to all the things here. The cool thing about this is say, you have a Slack account and you have your affiliate code and they're not with Slack yet, you can add your affiliate code, or, just things like that you can kind of implement in there. Then this is kind of like setting the, the boundaries and all that kind of stuff. Like, these are my office hours, and this is, how we're going to communicate. I want you to reach out to me via only email or, Slack, or just kind of like set the boundaries of how our relationship is going to be communicated.
Can I speak on that just a second? Sorry, there's so many good things here. And first of all, PS, isn't this beautiful? Jennifer has the most beautiful style, doesn't she? I love everything that she creates. But with this specific one, if you've worked with me before, you've probably heard me talk about boundaries a lot. And I think sometimes, again, virtual assistants come into the space because we have the employee mindset still. And we come in and like, I'm just here whenever you need me. And so whenever I'm on a call and I'm doing a getting started call with my client and their assistant, a lot of times they'll say, I'll ask the question, like, do you have any boundaries on your time? When do you usually, what are your working hours? And so many times the VA is like, oh, whenever you need me. I'm like, I really encourage you actually to get very specific and choose when you do not answer calls. Yes, like say, you can always reach out to me, but I may not respond. And I think that's really, really healthy, because what happens is you almost enable your clients to work with you really last minute and like, hey, I need this thing done today. Are you available? And then you're like, actually, I'm out at the park with my kids. I'm sorry, I'm not here. And so I think it's really good to say, if you message me after 5, totally feel free to message me. Just know that you may not get a response until the next business day. And I think that's super, super important and healthy to set that boundary with your clients. You are not an employee, you are a business owner. And I just want you to constantly change that mindset.
Yeah, and you're actually the one that taught me about that, because starting out as a VA, all I want to do is just be there, and I want to support them, and I just want to do all the things. And, we're helpers. So we want to help them. But it's so good for your personal energy and just the way that you show up to your job to have those boundaries. And that's something that I've learned from you, and I appreciate it so much because it's helped me so much in my business. So that is about communication. And this is just like a little area where you can talk about the client homework. Say you need them to fill out their onboarding form before, you can implement their project, or, just little things that they need to work on during your work also. This is kind of like set the stage for what they have to work on. And then this is if they have any frequently asked questions that pop up during, when you're working with a client. A lot of frequently asked questions will come up. So I'll actually just like have a running Google Doc of like things that people ask me during a project. And then I'll kind of like include them in here. So I do that just so they can kind of like have an idea, or like things that they don't think about that maybe they want to ask, or things like that. This kind of like prompts like the whole ideas to come up alive. And then this is kind of like you finish it off with your mission statement of just how excited you are with the project and working with them, and kind of where, your mission statement as a brand and all of that kind of stuff. So, and then this is like in the end, how they can keep in touch, follow you on social medias, emails, all the kind of things. So this is the welcome guide that you guys will be getting.
Awesome. Are you all excited to get that? Is that going to help you as you kind of onboard new clients? I feel like having something like this on hand makes you sort of like up levels your support to them a little bit, where they're like, "Ooh, I'm getting sort of like a VIP experience here." So I think you're going to love this.
Yeah, and that's the thing too, like when you want to grab like testimonials and you want to do like the referral based business, is you want to have all those little VIP touch points throughout the whole entire process, so that they are your biggest cheerleaders. They're gonna be like, oh my God, this was amazing. So that's why like in my process, I also do thank you gifts like in the beginning. So like there's a certain part of the onboarding and process where there's kind of like a little bit of a wait time. So, you send them the proposal, and then you have the next step after they send the proposal, but you're kind of waiting. So they've signed the contract, they pay the invoice, but then you're waiting for them and you to start the project. And so there's this little bit of time, and you don't want them to lose the excitement at all. So you send them a thank you gift. That's when I don't send it at the end. I actually send it right then at the beginning between that waiting period, because I want to keep the excitement alive. And so that's when I usually do that. But the cool thing, I'm not a tax expert or anything, but the cool thing that I've learned, and correct me if I'm wrong, if you've heard this too, but I think you can write off like, is it $25 on your taxes for client gifts?
I don't know the exact amount, but I know that there is a tax write-off. Yeah.
Yeah. So you can, if you don't have the money in the beginning, you could do a postcard. I actually am working with my sister with my client gifts. She has handmade concrete pots. And so we send them a little plant, and then like, I actually have my mom making little bath bombs. So I like support little small businesses, but like I do that cute little thing and like a thank you card and stuff like that with all my clients. So it's really fun. But yeah, so those are the things that I do to welcome in my clients, but I house everything within Dubsado.
And Dubsado is amazing. So this is one of the tools that we kind of wanted to show you about, especially because they've actually decreased their amounts. That used to be, they used to only have one plan, but now they have a lower one. And we wanted to show you just a little bit about what it does and why it's so great. And then Jennifer is actually a certified Dubsado expert, because a lot of things that I have seen people do in their business is they set up Dubsado and then they feel like, oh my gosh, I don't even know how to get started. Or if I could just have someone at least like walk me through how to use it, then they feel like they can breathe life into their business. And I think, again, you are a business owner. I know that you're trying to bring in clients, but that you also need to invest back into your business. And then once you do, you'll start to see some changes happen. So once I actually hired Jennifer to set up my Dubsado, and it changed my business completely. I feel like overnight, the support I was giving to my clients like up leveled 1,000%. And they started to see me as like, ooh, all of this looks super legit and professional. I'm so excited to like work with you. And it was very clear how we were going to work together. It was very smooth and automated. And so we wanted to show you how it could work for you and your business. And in fact, Dubsado has, is it 3 clients you can have for free in Dubsado? Yeah. So even if you only have like a couple of clients, you can use Dubsado for free. So we're going to show it to you right now. And then, do you want me to share my screen? Is that what you want me to do?
I'll just do it.
Okay, cool.
As long as we don't get kicked out of your account.
Yeah, I don't think we will.
Okay, let's get out of here. Okay, where are we? Oh, another thing I wanted to talk about on the scaling tips. So when she was talking about niching down, so I am a creative virtual assistant, and I kind of niche down to a Dubsado specialist. I became certified and all that kind of stuff. So within niching down, it allowed me to charge more for my clients, which gave me more time. So that's another cool thing, is you may not have to take on as many clients because you're going to be making more. So that's a really cool thing too.
And I like that you mentioned, you know, the niching down doesn't just have to be a specific audience. It can be a specific tool as well. So like Jennifer really loves Dubsado. So she decided to offer that as one of her key services. If you get a lot of people that are asking about Project Broadcast or Flowdesk, maybe you like really create like some really awesome things for those clients there, or templates or whatever, a process to support those people specifically, a specific package around those things, then people are like, oh my goodness, this is the person I need to work with because they're offering things that specifically I'm looking for.
Yeah, and so does anyone use Dubsado here? Is anyone a Dubsado user? I can't see the chat.
I think so. Sophia said that she is.
Oh, yay. I love Dubsado. Let me see how I can actually, I want to get my chat on the side of the screen, but it's not working. I wonder if it would be better if you
Yeah,
share.
I can follow the chat. Oh, you want me to share? Okay.
Yeah, just do that because I want to be able to see the chat.
Yeah,
for some reason it's not pulling up. Okay. So love Dubsado. Dubsado is my jam. So you know, go to the next slide. Okay, so with every client, we do the inquiry process, we do the appointment scheduling, we do invoicing, contracts, forms, questionnaires, onboarding process. We send emails, fulfillment process, which is going to be the only thing that is not included that you can't do in Dubsado. But we have the offboarding process and referral process. And what I love about Dubsado is that you can do them all in there. So you don't have to go to your Calendly, you don't have to log into your, contract place and, check to see if it was filled out and like all the things. You're not like going all over the place. It just makes it feel so much more calm for me since I discovered that, because I was excited when I got a clients, but because I was doing so many, I just felt overwhelmed with and it almost became a burden to onboard and offboard. And it just, I don't know, it's just feeling icky. So although I was excited, I just felt stressed out when I got a new client, because I was like, oh my God, I have to draft an email. I have to create a form. I have to do all these things. But what I love about Dubsado is that you can build templates, and you have all the things that are organized in there, and it houses all of them in one place. Let's go to the next slide.
And we'll actually show you some examples of what she's talking about too, so that you can see even some of the ones that we've created, and you can get an idea of how it would work for you. And it's very user-friendly. It's very beautiful.
Yeah, it's really cool. So all of your templates that you have in there, you have them, it's kind of like, it's like your own like motherboard of all the things. It has your contracts, invoicing, and then it also has the graphic designing part of it, where you can make everything cohesive and on brand to match your brand style. So that's really cool. What else is there? There's everything is organized and efficient. We love workflow, so that's great.
Can I mention one thing too? I know that some virtual assistants, they just sort of, they track their hours on Toggle, and then they share their invoice, which is great. That's so great. But there's like now a 2.0 option of like how you can support your clients, where you actually have a contract. PS, if you don't have one, you need a contract really, really badly. And we can send you in the notes some templates of contracts that that you can go buy from my favorite lawyers, but you absolutely need a contract. Say what?
They even have, like, because of like the pandemic and all that stuff that happened, I mean, people, couldn't do work, or people were leaving us and they couldn't pay us and things like that. So now there's even clauses in the contracts that protect you during a pandemic. So
Mhm.
it's so important to have all those little fine details and to protect you.
Yeah. And so
It's
the
a must.
idea is with Dubsado is that you're sending out the proposal that like of what it would look like if they decided to hire you. And then they sign the contract, and then they pay maybe their first invoice. Maybe there's like a installment fee that they have to pay to like secure your services or something. And then you can actually get started like, great, we got everything we needed. Now we can schedule our first call together where we can figure out where you want me to support you in your business. And so imagine that being your process rather than like letting it be all client led, where you are driving it a little bit more and showing them like, hey, I'm an expert in this space and I want to support you. I think will up level your game a little bit.
Yeah. Okay, so let's take a look at inside Dubsado a little bit. So this is kind of what it looks like when you log into your account. You're going to have everything organized. Over here is like where you would have all your appointments and schedules and all that kind of stuff. But this area is kind of cool because it will tell you that if there are any invoices overdue, but generally the reminders are set, so you don't even have to worry about this, but it's nice to keep track of, who owes you what. So there's also like this area where you can alert you to countersign the contracts. So you can just go in there, countersign it, and then it will just go back to zero, which is great. And then this is for workflows. That's kind of like the more advanced portion of Dubsado. So Dubsado does all the things from lead to onboarding to offboarding. You can do it all manually within Dubsado, but there is a feature called workflows where you can automate it all.
And
So
it's so
it
nice.
saves you so much time.
Jennifer is a master at the workflows because I had some really weird ones. And so she set mine up so that even like automated emails would go out to my clients at certain intervals. So I mentioned like my testimonials. We've set it to go out like from their start date to go out like 2 months later. So they automatically just get a form where they can fill out their testimonial. And then I also have a reminder that goes out like a week later. It says, hey, just wanted to check in, see if you got my email last week about a testimonial. I don't even know these emails go out anymore until they reply back because they're just going out on my system completely.
Yeah, and another cool thing about workflows is if you have it set up, one of the benefits of is that if there is a form that you send them through a workflow and they don't fill it out, say you need an onboarding form filled out before you have your onboarding call, it can watch that and make sure that it's filled out, and it can remind them to do that. So that's a really cool feature too. Yeah, so that's essentially, oh, this is the part that Megan loves the most.
Yeah, this is what I use.
You want to talk about this?
Yeah. So when the thing that I love, because I have 150 plus clients, and so it's really hard to keep track of them. Even if you only have like 1 or 5, it's still really helpful to see and hear at a glance all the clients that you're working with. So she actually changed all of like the names of my clients. So normally you would see the names of them on my dashboard, and then you would see like when they started, and it would show you the status. So here you can see that they signed the contract. And this one, actually, they finished paying for it. So it's completely done. This one, they are partially done. So they're a third of the way through. So it helps me see at a glance where everybody's at. And then I can actually click into them and see everything else. But I love being able to see it this way. I can even see like, have they even viewed the proposal yet? And it kind of keeps me going in that space.
Yeah, but I mean, everything's organized. You're not going to have to log into your QuickBooks or something like that and see when an invoice is paid. Everything is kind of just like lumped all in one platform, which is what I love.
Mm-hmm. And there's reminders that will go out just when they send the invoices. It's like, hey, just a reminder that your invoice is due. And then it's like 5 days later, hey, you have a past due invoice, so that you don't have to be in the awkward space of like trying to like send that email. It just, you can draft it already and it goes out without you having to think about it.
Yeah, and they also have like auto pay features within invoices, which is cool that they have. And then it's actually a new feature that's coming out where you can actually set the invoice on mandatory auto pay. So that's a future thing that's kind of fun.
Yeah.
So schedulers, everything is in here. You're not going to have to go to Calendly or anything like that. It's not as robust as Calendly, but if you're, just a one-on-one service provider, you don't have a giant team or anything like that, it can get the job done. That's the only scheduler that I use. So it works perfectly for that. Okay, this is the fun part. So this is forms. And so in forms, you could do your contracts, you could do sub-agreements. So like say the person that's hired you has like a co-owner in the business or has an assistant that needs to sign something, or, just all the things. So you have the main contract for the main person, and then you have sub-agreements. Or even if you want to continue working with the person after the main project is done, you would have them do another subcontract. And then you have questionnaires that can go out all throughout the process, really, of the process of working with someone. So you have onboarding forms, you have resource guides, you have testimonial forms, all those kind of things.
We'll show you what they look like too.
Yeah. And then proposals, and then lead capture forms. So essentially you put your lead capture form, you can have just a link to it. So if say someone emails you and you're just like, hey, let me just give you my lead capture form. And what the lead capture form does is it pulls them into your Dubsado. So it asks them the questions like name, email address, company name, just, you can make it as lengthy or as short as you want. But the lead capture form is to bring them within Dubsado and set them up as a project. But you can.
So for example, for clarification on that, like if you usually send like your Calendly invite to like, yeah, schedule an appointment with me. Instead, you send them your scheduler in here, and then it has a lead capture form attached to it so that they automatically have a project created in your Dubsado account automatically. And so that's super nice because then you don't really have to think about it at all. Yeah, I just want to like clarify that process.
So with the integrations and stuff, they do have an integration area. A lot of them would work with like Zapier. So, like some of my things that I do is I'll make a Zap from Dubsado to ClickUp. Or if you want to do Zaps to Calendly and Dubsado, you can kind of go on the Zapier site, and all you have to do is Dubsado and then the other platform that you want to do. And you would just see which ones, which options you have available. So that's a cool thing too.
Yeah, a couple of things to note there. So like with FreshBooks, so this actually integrates with PayPal and Stripe. And so even though this might not have a direct integration with FreshBooks or QuickBooks, that wherever you have like Stripe or PayPal or anything, all of your payment processing system is what you would link over there instead, so that you still bring in it will bring in your purchases, expenses, and things like that from those platforms.
Yeah, and if you use like QuickBooks and Dubsado, because Dubsado has all the invoicing and all the kind of stuff in there, it will work sending Dubsado invoicing, all that kind of stuff to QuickBooks. But I believe it's QuickBooks desktop, not app, that you have to be using.
Yeah.
But it will only go one way. It will only go from Dubsado to QuickBooks. It won't bring your QuickBooks stuff into Dubsado, kind of thing.
Yeah. And then to your question where you said, does it integrate with Calendly? It would replace Calendly. So you don't have to use Calendly. And then Casa asked, does this, can you use this instead of Trello? And so Trello serves a very different purpose as like a project management tool. And so I would say yes, like, because you can actually have like specific tasks where you give yourself in there, but it's not necessarily like the kind of project management tool that you're thinking where you can like add all of your to-dos to it. Like you kind of can, you can add notes and things for each client, but I actually use ClickUp as my project management tool in conjunction with this. So think of this more as like your client portal where you're giving them your contract, your proposal, your invoice, your automated emails, your testimonials, your regular onboarding forms, your questionnaires, all of those kinds of things are all housed in one place. But then like your day-to-day tasks that your clients are assigning, you can also send them like a questionnaire where they fill out the form, like here's all the things I need you to do each week or this week. Then you can use it that way as well. But actually, like I use ClickUp to remind myself, like outline what I need to do that week, if that makes sense, as far as regular tasks.
Yeah, so these are the two main platforms that I use. I use ClickUp and then I use Dubsado. So Dubsado can do all the client management stuff, but ClickUp will be the project management stuff. Dubsado can't do the work for you. It can't, do the project for you. So, but what I do is I'll have my Dubsado send us that to ClickUp and create a folder in ClickUp, and kind of like those are the two things that I'm kind of working in both, during a project.
Yeah. Should we show them some of the stuff?
Yeah.
Okay, so here are some of the proposals that I have. So this is my ready to go proposal that I actually send my ready to go assistant program. So my clients come to me sometimes in the essential oil space, and they want an assistant that's kind of been trained in my essential oil program. And so this is what I usually send them. Like, here's everything that's here. Like, and it's beautiful. Jennifer designed it and it's gorgeous. And it already brings in like the thing. And then here's the, like what's going to be looking like going forward, and then a little bit more about my program. And then that's it.
And then at the top, if you go back there, if you go to the top, it also, you can, so within the proposals, you have the option to do proposal, contract, and invoice, but she wants more control over the invoice, so we don't have that included on hers. But it's kind of like all three things in one step, which is great. But I wanted to have you show them your contract too, what it looks like.
Yeah, and so here's my contract, and then you can scroll down and like they sign it and I sign it.
But see how like you can even graphic design your contracts, which is great. So it's like every touch point is kind of like on brand and, like all the things. So it kind of like impresses them.
Yeah. And then here's like this is my 8-week program that I send a proposal for. So this is like they're inquiring to see if they want to work with me or not. And we kind of outline what it's going to look like. And this is one, like you can even add, like, I don't have this on all of mine, but for this specific program, I needed them to agree to some disclaimers because I know they're not going to read the contract. So I needed them to just like really quickly touch on a couple of things, even though this isn't a contract. I just needed them to be like, let's make sure we're clear on a few things before you even start working together. Otherwise this isn't going to work. And that's kind of how I've done this one. So super nice. And then same with like our Pinterest proposal is very similar, and you can kind of change these all up however you want. Like you can design it totally how you want it to look. You can see this is very similar to some of my other ones. And we've included like some Canva templates that they'll be getting, and some are just really simple. You can make it as elaborate or as simple as you want. And then here's Jennifer's onboarding form.
Yeah, I wanted to show you my onboarding form, just the way that it looks, but then also show you a cool feature that I do. So with every client, I have, I create because I collect so much information from each client. I collect their, website information, their hex codes, their logos, like all the things when I'm doing a Dubsado setup project. So see this area where it says upload logo? This is actually, so with every client, I create a Google folder and I custom map this area right here. Whenever they put the information in there, it shoots it to my Google folder. So that's like a really cool tip. I just get excited about automation.
Yeah, that's so cool. So if you've done any like website development or anything like this is so great because then you can have it all in one space rather than them like sending you all these emails with everything. You're like, where's all the stuff I need? I love that.
So yeah, this is just my onboarding form that I do. So it's really cool.
This is so cool. Very cool. I love this. So you can kind of get a sense for what it might look like to kind of bring someone into your space using Dubsado, and that you can see like how on the client side, they're like, wow, this woman is legit. Like I want to work with this person, going forward, because she has me totally taken care of. It's not just like some random Google form. It actually looks very professional and it makes you look very professional so that they want to continue working with you. I love that.
Yeah.
Here's something that, like, after I finished, working with some of my clients, I give them an offboarding thing, but in the chat, somebody says, this is really next level. Right now I have them go through a Trello board where I collect all the same info, but this is so much better, right? And your first 3 clients are free. So you have all the features for free for your first 3 clients, which is so cool.
Yeah, and you can test things out and try the account, all that kind of stuff. It's a great place to kind of just play with it.
Yeah, it's not like you have to have like a 30-day trial or anything. It's like, as long as you only have 3 clients, it's free for as long as you have the platform, which is really great. And then when you're ready for that next step, then you can start paying for it. I think they have like, it's $250 a year and then $350 a year.
Yeah, it's the 2 tiers. Like the cheaper doesn't have like the workflow, kind of like all the automation as the other ones, or scheduling. I have a screenshot of it, but yeah.
But this totally like saved me. So after I've worked with some of my clients and I've paired them up with their assistant, like for one of my programs, I do a lot of different programs, but this is one of them. I like to send them like, yay, now you're ready to get started, to work together. And now you don't need me anymore. Here are just some final resources. And I've included a lot of different things in there. Oh, I need to update that actually. I was just editing yesterday. And then I say, here's your links to your coaching calls. Here's like our power up calls. For the assistant, here's some additional resources. Find me on Voxer. That's it for now. And it's really great because then I can like send them off and they're off on their own now. They have everything they need from me, and then they can just kind of do their own stuff together. And then here's the testimonial form that Jennifer created for me in Dubsado. So this is what goes out to them. Actually, I think this one is Jennifer's. Is this one Jennifer's?
Nope. That's yours.
Oh, this is mine. Oh, it is mine because it says a little M. And so you can kind of decide, maybe you ask them specific prompts, or you can just say, include your testimonial here. You can do whatever works for you. But again, this form goes out automatically and I don't have to do anything with it. But the reminder email that goes out a week later is probably the one that gets them to come the most, not just the initial one, but the reminder one. And I can't tell you how many people say, oh, thank you so much for sending this reminder. I'll totally get this sent, because, when they first get it, it's like lots happening and they may not have time for it, but then they get that reminder and that's usually what prompts them to finally send it over. But I don't even think about it because it just goes out for me. And then
and that it's called a trigger. So what happens is the workflow will send out the testimonial form, and then Dubsado knows that if it's not filled out with a certain amount of time, to send it again. So it's really cool.
And when you're ever collecting testimonials, you may already know this, but you need their permission to use it on your website and your other things. So that's why this section is so important. Can I use this content you've provided for marketing materials? Yes or no? And then they can upload a photo of themselves so that you can actually use whatever photo they have rather than trying to go Facebook stalk them. And that keeps you compliant legally and everything like that, so that it's very kosher and you're actually using things that you can. So you can put these in your portfolios. You can put these on your website. Super, super nice. Okay. Oh yeah, do you want to talk about the client portal?
Yeah, so this is another kind of cool feature of Dubsado and it kind of sets like that VIP experience, is the client portal. So within the client portal, it will have all of and it's unique to each individual client. So it will have their appointments, any forms that they need to fill out, emails, all the emails are kept in there as long as you do it within Dubsado. It just has all the things in one unique place. So it's really cool, and it kind of sets that like tone for the project.
Especially because how many of you have experienced like sending out a bunch of emails like, hey, here's the form to this, or here's the link to that, here's all these things, and then they have to like figure out where all that stuff was. Instead, you can just say, go log into your portal and everything is already there waiting for you. And that way it's not quite as crazy. Cool. I love that.
Oh. So this is the workflow part. This is just kind of like a brief snippet of a workflow, but this is the more advanced side of Dubsado, is when you have everything put into your Dubsado account and you're sending things manually and you're used to the whole process and you've got everything built out within Dubsado, you can start using the workflow feature, which is amazing because essentially you could be sleeping. Well, no, not sleeping, because you're going to want to set your office hours because boundaries. But yeah, so you would have things within Dubsado send out for you while you're not even doing anything. So that's amazing. So, if say you have someone that sent out or someone that filled out your lead capture form, it would go ahead and populate a thanks for reaching out email. Here's my scheduler. And then, they would get the scheduler email. And the cool thing about making it seem, so a lot of people, they get caught up on oh, it's going to sound so robotic and it's going to be so automated. But the cool thing that you can do with workflows is you can set like a little tiny time buffer. So like, they fill out your lead capture form, it's not going to just send them the thank you email right away. You can set like a 15-minute. So it seems like you're in your account and like, oh, wow, I got a lead, but really you're not. So you can set like time buffers and stuff to make it seem more personal, but also, in your canned emails that you do, you also want to add your voice and make it seem more personal and that kind of stuff, because a lot of people are scared of the automation and scared of the non-human factor, but you really don't have to, because you can make it seem really personal in a lot of ways.
And on that note, like some of my emails, I have like a template of an email that I send, but I still have a section where I have to go in and add like specific content just for them. So I have what Jennifer has done. She set up like a to-do thing in the workflow where I go and edit the template email to like add in the final details that I need for that specific client. And then I will send it, but it's part of the workflow. And it says, oh, now and all of these will be checked off. It's like, okay, check, check, check. You're here. This is what you need to do next. And so when you're talking about like, does it replace Trello? Like there are certain to-dos that you can build into your workflow so that you can see exactly what they need next. So that part is really nice, where it will send out the emails for you. It'll send out different things for you, but you can also say, wait, this piece needs a personal touch. Let me go in and edit it before it sends out. And then it will do everything else for you.
Yeah. And then, so say after your appointment, your consultation call, you want it to send the proposal. You want to send it the proposal, contract, invoice. What I usually do, because I want to get a feel if I'm going to work well with the client. So I always add a to-do before I send out the proposal, because what if we're not vibing? Like, what if we aren't a good fit? So I always have my little to-do to check off. I'm like, yes, I really want to work with them. I'm so excited. So I have this little to-do to check off, and that kind of like puts a pause in your workflow. So when you do the to-do, you check it off, then the next step would be send the proposal, contract, and invoice. And then, so that's like a little stopping point that I would have usually for my workflows.
So let's say that you're working with maybe an ongoing virtual assistant client where they've hired you, 10 hours a week, and they want, they have different tasks every week that you're doing for them, but you want to build in regular like check-ins and support. So maybe once a month you have an automated email in there that goes out that says, hey, we've been working together for about a month now. Just wanted to check in and see if there's anything else I can, how you feel things are going. Is there anything I can improve on? Did you feel like things are going well? I'd love to just kind of check in with you really quickly now that we've been working together for a month. And you can do the same thing 2 months later or 3 months later. And then you can have the testimonial form go out. Like you can build in some of these additional resources, or maybe there's regular things that around like 2 months, clients usually ask you for. You're like, I'm just going to send them this thing as an automated reminder or an email so that they get it from me automatically and it shows up in their portal. So you can build all of these out. So even after you've been working with them for a while.
Yeah. So after you send the proposal, contract, and invoice, I usually have a pause in my workflow, and it will be a pause that don't do any next steps until they've signed the contract and they've paid at least a portion of the invoice. So once the workflow watches for that trigger, then I want to send them their onboarding form. And so usually we'll just go ahead and send them the onboarding form, but then the next step I'll have watch for the onboarding form to be filled out within this certain time period. And then if it's not, send them a reminder email. So those are, some cool things that you can do for that too.
Yeah, and there's so much that we can show you in Dubsado, but we kind of wanted to give you like a glimpse of what's possible in there. Especially with all that we just talked about with like discovery calls and everything else, all of this leads into really kind of providing a really healthy support to your clients. And this is one of the favorite ways that I found to do that. And Jennifer is so great at this. And so if you're thinking like, yeah, I want to get into Dubsado, but I just need like a coaching call with an expert really quick to make sure that I'm using it right, or to walk me through how to use it. And Jennifer does that also, or you can even hire her for partial setup or full setup. There's so many different things that she does. If you're like, I just need her to help me design my beautiful proposals or help me build out my workflows, Jennifer is like the person to go to, and she's transformed my business and how I completely support my clients using this tool. So I just wanted to let you know that that's an option for you if you are thinking you want to get into Dubsado. So now that you've kind of seen all this, what was the most helpful? Tell me in the chat today. Did you learn anything new? Are there new things that you want to do as you support your clients? Whether it's how you're going to find them, or the gifts, or using Dubsado, or anything like that. We'd love to know in the chat what was most valuable to you today. And I love what everybody said above it. Marissa, everything, all of this was so helpful. Oh, good. We're so grateful. So going forward, we're going to send you an email probably tomorrow that includes the recording, the PowerPoint, that includes a link to Dubsado. I think it actually gives you a discount. I think the link that I have, I'm not even really sure. And then if you decide like pay for it, and then the stuff to get in contact with Jennifer. So if you want her help, even just for a coaching call or anything like that, how you can reach out to her and get support with Dubsado as well. Plus all the templates that we said we would send, like the welcome onboarding in Canva and the portfolio and everything. Awesome. I love, Michaela says, just getting into learning about becoming a virtual assistant. And I've just learned so much, so many different platforms available to use and learn. Thank you. Thank you. You're so welcome.
I wanted to say something about, so I've been a virtual assistant for 2.5 years, but I've just gotten into Dubsado in the last year. So start where you are. Like in the beginning, like this welcome form that I'm giving you, I sent all my things via PDF in an email. It wasn't the most efficient, but it still kind of gave that, that VIP touch, but it was working within where I was at. So that, you don't put too much pressure on yourself.
Yeah, like don't see like the workflows like, oh my gosh, I've got to build out this whole process right now. Like just start with one proposal, one contract, and the invoice, and then you can start building in a little bit more from there. Like what else, what automated reminders or forms do you want to go in throughout your process, and build it on it slowly. Like you don't have to eat the whole elephant at once. I love the comments that have come in. I've learned about new platforms and how to use them. Thank you. And how to find clients. Thank you. Thank you so much, Megan and Jennifer. Learned so much. Awesome. We're so glad that this was a helpful call to you. We're going to be doing some of these more regularly because I have such a large network of social media, or not social media, virtual assistants and service providers that are looking for more support. And so coming soon over the next year or so, we're also going to be launching some courses and resources for you as well to help dive more into some of these things, both how to up-level certain skill sets and even more in depth on how to find and support clients. Brittany says, Jennifer, what is your last name? I'm signing up for Dubsado trial and want to list you as one of the people who referred me. That's Jennifer Hope Jesse. Awesome. Perfect. Awesome. Thank you so much, everybody. It was great connecting with you, and we'll send you an email with everything that we promised tomorrow. Have a wonderful afternoon, and we'll talk to you soon.